Shalom, family. Shalom to each and every one of you. It's good to see you here. We're going to talk about a Black man that is naturally immune to coronavirus. He has antibodies that they call super antibodies because he can fight against all of the corona variants too. And I love it. Look like this special immunity was bestowed upon a Black man. I love it. Woo! The Heavenly Father gave it to a Hebrew man, y'all. A Hebrew man. So this story actually came out on NBC. And wow, what a revelation to see something like this. When I saw this, I actually got excited yesterday. I was like, wow. Wow. Now this is a gem of a story. But you know what? I don't want him to let these undeserving MFers get a hold of him and try to pull a Henrietta Lacks, where they'll take from him, won't give him a dime, and won't give the family a dime. Those that for free days are done. We don't do shit for free. So don't come over here with that for free stuff. You're going to get your feelings hurt. Forget that for free. You didn't design America to live in for free, so don't expect nothing for free. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you know, this man should be the richest man in America as far as I'm concerned, if he does give something up, which I'm hoping he never will. You know, these people don't deserve anything from us at this point. You won't give us reparations. You won't acknowledge our efforts. You won't pay us the same rate that you pay some of these people coming in the door of a company with no experience. No, you have no right to ask us for anything or demand anything. And no, we are not in this together. We have not been in this together for 500 years. No. We haven't been in anything together. So let me go on to this story. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's get started. All right, this Hebrew man that you're looking at, his name is John Hollis. And how this all began, ladies and gentlemen, is he had a roommate that was in bad shape from coronavirus. And this was last spring of 2020. And it didn't take much for John Hollis to believe he would contract coronavirus, a highly infectious and deadly virus. So he was so concerned about what could happen that he penned a letter to his teenage son, Davis, in case things went downhill fast for Hollis. It turned out Hollis was unknowingly he had already had coronavirus and recovered and never knew he even had it. He never knew he had it. So he unwittingly infected his roommate. So he was asymptomatic and he gave it to the roommate and he had no idea he was asymptomatic. It turns out Hollis, the communication manager at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, learned in July that he fell into a rare category. This is what he fell in. So he found this out, and he said this rare category of people whose blood could help scientists understand COVID-19 and potentially treat those who fall ill. Don't do it. Don't do it. If they're not going to give you something for this, Don't you do it. Don't ever do nothing for free for these people because they don't appreciate your efforts. When we Black people in this country have gone above and beyond, and they look at it as nothing. So since that's their overall attitude, don't you give them nothing. Don't give them anything, and don't worry about them hating you either. That ain't shit. Don't worry about these people hating you. I laugh when they come on my channel and write that remedial crap like they hurting me. I don't give a damn if you never like me. The hell with you. So COVID-19, it seems, cannot harm him at all. Dr. Lance Leota, and he's a Mason, George Mason University pathologist and bioengineer who is leading the school's clinical trials on antibodies. Hollis, 54 years old, a former journalist, learned that his blood is fortified with so-called super antibodies, antibodies that neutralize the virus, which even diluted 10,000 times. And they said even when they diluted COVID virus 10,000 times, he still could resist it, Leota said. It is a medical phenomenon found in less than 5% of the population who have contracted coronavirus, a study indicates, making Hollis in his blood a valuable resource in identifying potential treatments for COVID-19, Leota said. Don't do it. Don't do it. Look, they took cells from Henrietta Lacks. They didn't give her family a dime. Those people were poor and they could have used the money. They did nothing. Don't trust this government and don't trust no scientist to experiment with your blood. Don't do it. Keep saying no. In short, using Hollis antibodies, the Y-shaped protein in blood used by the immune system to identify and fight bacteria viruses. Leota and his team will, as part of their trial, understand exponentially better how to kill the coronavirus and mass produce antibodies like John's for a general population to protect it from the virus. It's like the drug Regeneron, which President Donald Trump took after he announced early in October that he had tested positive. If that sounds crazy to you, imagine how it feels to be me, how it feels to me, said Hollis, a former sports journalist for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. More than 20 million people in the United States have contracted the deadly virus as vaccines slowly become available. But treatment for the virus is still necessary, which makes Hollis super antibodies. So they're immensely important, and they are. This is why he doesn't need to give it away to people that don't deserve it. His story began after he took his son Davis on a trip to Europe early in March. Not long after, they returned to London and Paris. Just before flights to the United States were grounded, Hollis experienced congestion, which he associated with a normal sinus issue, which come with the time of the year. So it was spring, so he just assumed it was a sinus infection. The symptoms passed quickly, but his roommate, who did not want to be named, became devastatingly ill with COVID-19 for a month. Fearing for his friend, Hollis stood by his door early in the morning and listened for movement to ensure he was still alive. Hollis consistently wiped down the townhouse they shared and confined himself to his bedroom. He was scared to death that Hollis' closest friend, Kevin W. Tidings, a lawyer in Charlotte, North Carolina, I called him just about every day for 2 weeks checking on him. I was worried for him. He figured he would get it, but to his credit, he manned up and stayed there because he didn't want to go out and give it to someone else. He was especially worried about his son, Hollis said. He was petrified that Davis would contract COVID-19 on their travel. He was also scared that he could die from the virus and miss seeing his son grow up into a man. It was at a strange piece with whatever happened to me, but saddened by the prospect of perhaps not living to see my son hit those major life milestones, such as graduating from high school, college, and getting married and becoming a father himself, Hollis said. April 8th, I sat down and wrote a letter to my son for him to have if I wasn't there. I wrote the first sentence and I cried. I read it every month and I cried right away. I'm just grateful that I didn't have to give it to him. But Hollis did not fall noticeably ill. So by mid-July, he volunteered to participate in a coronavirus study on campus, enthusiastically backed by New George Mason University President Gregory Washington and led by Leota, a former deputy director at the National Institute of Health. Soon after, Leota called Hollis one night to tell him that he had harbored super antibodies. Hollis said he remembered feeling utter shock. Here, I was scared for my roommate and fearful that I could contract COVID, he said. Instead, I had it already, and like I gave it to him, he got a bad deal. I feel badly for him, and I can't get it. So he was shocked to hear this news that he had super antibodies and he can never get COVID because of that. My antibodies can help modern science. It was a lot to process. George Mason University, one of the 13 NIH sponsored biostate level 3 biomedical research laboratories that have the facilities to handle live COVID-19 samples. Leota and his team were able to pinpoint when Hollis had the virus. Hollis had received that his son did not, so he was relieved that his son did not contract COVID because he couldn't give it to him. He's in excellent health, Hollis said. Since August, Hollis had given blood and saliva samples to every 2 weeks to the lab, testing and experiment. Leota said he had levels of Hollis antibodies. Not only he had sustained, but they also proven effective to kill 6 different strains of the coronavirus. Leota's team found 7 other people with super antibodies for the clinical trial. Hollis is different from the others in that his antibodies have maintained at least 90% of their strength 9 months after he had coronavirus. Wow, 90%, that's pretty powerful. But Black men are pretty powerful too. So most similar antibodies dissipate in 60 to 90 days, Leota said. Furthermore, Leota said Hollis super antibodies will help in the next phase of the clinical trial testing if it in those who have taken the vaccine to make sure the antibodies have been elevated through the injection. It was all very excited, he said. And it's because of our patients like John. Yeah, but you don't give them nothing. See, that's what I'm opposed to. You want to take from this man, but you don't want to give him nothing. And this is the mentality of these people for 500 years. They want something for nothing. And they're the most entitled people on the face of the earth. Please. I don't like that. Other public health officials are excited too, like Dr. Pierre Valence, an adjunct professor at health policy and management at George Washington University School of Public Health, who is the founder and principal of Health Up Strategic Advisors. And see, let me just say this. One thing I hate too is if they create a vaccine with his super antibodies, they gon' pat each other on the back and leave him out of it altogether. We know how you get down. Whenever we're involved, you try to find a way not to mention Black people, but you stand there and pat each other on the back like you did everything. And if it wasn't for this Black man, you would have had nothing, period. And that's another thing. Y'all do not, when you get in front of, see, if they create a vaccine based on his super antibodies, they're going to get on a news conference, pat each other on the back, talk each other up, and leave the Black man out altogether. How many times have we seen this? We have seen it multiple times. Y'all do this on jobs. You do this in school. You do this every chance you can get. You make sure you try your best to exclude us from everything, even what we really deserve credit for. That's another reason why you don't deserve anything from this man. Okay. Hollis remains astounded by the discovery, but still wears a mask and practice social distancing. Yeah, because, he's a good kind of person. That's why he does that. The gravity of his situation has also weighed on him for months. To say this is surreal, experience, but has been tough to digest is an understatement, he said. Dr. Leota and his team are amazed. On one hand, I am eternally grateful and blessed beyond measure to still be healthy and somehow have a rare natural protection against a deadly virus that is now killing more than 3,000 Americans a day and adversely affecting everybody, but especially African Americans and others of color. But on the other hand, you need only to turn on the TV or glance at any newspaper to see the large swath of deaths and misery around the globe as a result of the virus. That's exactly right. So since wait a minute, let's say this, since Black people got it the worst, then, and Hollis here is a Black man, aka Hebrew, then the Black community should get these vaccines with his super antibodies first over anyone else. So, and I'm not getting no vaccine. I'm just saying it's the principle of the whole thing. I'm still not getting no vaccine. So anyway, so it makes me ask, why me? Why have I been spared when so many others weren't? He said he has stayed up late at night since July, pondering his experience. The truth is, I could come up with no real answers other than perhaps God has a plan for me, he said, or maybe I'm just lucky as hell. Either way, I do know that I've long preached to my son that we all share a responsibility to make the world a better place than it is when we arrived. Never in a million years I could have envisioned this being how I might help do just that. Yes, you can help, but you be hesitant about helping, especially these folks that get up on a daily basis and mistreat us. They don't deserve help. They don't deserve help. And look at what they're doing. They're trying to get vaccines and keep us from getting it. Not that we want it, but that's what they're doing. You can pull up the stories online of how they're saying there's racial disparities and how they're giving out the vaccines. They're making sure they set up shop, and white communities and Black communities have nowhere to go. Okay. So no, don't forget what they're doing. So no, do not just give your shit away to these people. And what have they done for us in 500 years? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. And this is what they have done historically in the medical world. They took Henrietta Lacks cells from her body. Did they ever thank her or her family? No. And in fact, they took it without permission. That's how much they disrespected this woman. So no, don't forget that. Don't forget it. This country has done all kinds of heinous things through the medical community. That's why they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve to take anything from his body. If it was me with the super super antibodies, I ain't giving it to none of them. Too bad. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Hollis, if you want to help your community. The ones they are neglecting, going above and beyond to neglect when it comes down to COVID. Go pull up the stories, y'all, from last year. And they're still doing this stuff because you remember the black man that died in the parking lot because they denied him, a hospital stay when he was sick. You remember last year, black people went to the emergency room to get a COVID test and they were turned down. Do y'all remember those stories? There were several of them. They got turned down. Look at how they treated Dr. Susan. What was her last name? Dr. Susan Jones, I believe. Look at how she got treated, and she could have been saved, and she died. Okay, she died. So even through COVID, black people are still being mistreated up in these hospitals. Many have been left to die. And we read about, remember the nurse that I gave you up in New York, and she was talking about how they were letting the African American patients die. Y'all remember that? That was last year. That was last spring. So we got a lot of examples and reasons on why you shouldn't get not one drop of John Hollis blood or saliva or anything else. You are not entitled to it. You're not. Thank you, Rosalind. Dr. Susan Moore. Thank you. Dr. Susan Moore. You see how she got treated? And she was an internal medicine doctor. Can you imagine all of the people that she saved in her lifetime that didn't even look like her? But at the end of the day, look at how she got treated. Look at how she got treated. Mm-hmm. And that nurse was not the only one. There were other nurses that came forward and talked about how black people were being treated up in them hospitals with COVID. See, no, we ain't going to forget nothing. We're not going to forget anything. So, no, what have these people done to deserve to get anything from this black man? Okay, not a thing. And they're content with being that way. And this is why we got to stop giving stuff up so easily when they don't deserve it. I am happy for him that he got the super antibodies. And I hope the Most High give all of us that are his children those same antibodies, so we can sail right through these viruses that come out. Thank you, Honeybee. And somebody else gave a super chat or super sticker. Thank you. Unfortunately, when I'm on full screen, I can't see it, but I do thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, he should leave the country. But no, let them pay for what they want. Okay, America's not a free country to live in, so don't expect us to do anything for free. That's bullshit. If I can live for free, you show me how I can live for free, then you can get things for free. But if you can't show me that, no, for free don't work. Felisa, they said 5% of the population has those super antibodies. So there are other people, but it's a very tiny percent of the people in the country that have that. So yes, you are right. There are other people. There are 5% of the American population have exactly what John Hollis have. No, exactly, Jackie Carmichael. Even if he gets payment, we know what these people do historically. They gonna try to act like it all came from them. They all did it by themselves because this is what they do. Thank you, Jerome Simmons, for the super chat. Thank you so much because this is what they do. And then when they, like I said, if they have a big news conference because they can make something out of, they gonna be on there talking about themselves. Well, Dr. So-and-so worked so hard on this. We know what they do. And so-and-so worked so hard on this. I want to thank them. And they'll leave the black man out of it altogether. We have seen it in everything. We even see it in the music industry where they'll copy off of a song that came out from a black artist. And then when they win an award, they won't even mention the black artist that it came from. This is what they do. And it's evil. It's evil for you to do that. That's straight up evil. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we got every reason not to give anything to you. Plain and simple. Every reason. So, y'all, that's what I wanted to show you because I thought this was an amazing story when I saw it yesterday. And I said, oh, I got to do this on live stream. A black man that is completely immune to COVID. Oh, yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Oh, hell yeah. My kind of story. And I wonder how, I wonder the race of the people out of the 5%. Is it more black people? I do wonder that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because, he don't need them in his face. This man deserves to live in peace. He doesn't need these old whine babies to be up in his face, you know, and they're just looking for a reason to hate you anyway. So, you know what I mean? You're just looking for a reason to hate us anyway. So if he don't say or do what you want, then you want to hate him and destroy his character. And that's another reason why they don't deserve anything because they do that a lot. See, if they can't beat you any other way, they try to destroy your character. They think they can go after your character. And no, people that do stuff like that don't deserve anything from you at all. Well, you know what I think it is, V. Vincent. I think the reason why they're saying 5% because that's probably how much they have caught in the testing. And you're probably right. There's probably far more than 5%. That's just 5% of what they know of. Mm-hmm. So, everybody, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thank you so much for coming. I do appreciate it. And, as I get more of these really good stories coming in, we will go back on live stream and do this one more time. So, please enjoy the rest of your day, wherever you are in the country or even in the world. And probably we'll do this in a few days. So, thank you, family, and shalom.